Jeremy. Who's below me?
Everyone is above you. You're below us.
There's
Yeah,
one person below me.
exactly.
I see a lot of boys in the well down here. How long have you boys been down there?
We have always lived here. We've always
Are you
lived in
guys
the
able
well.
to, are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
So,
Okay.
boys, I told you we had a special guest. I thought you were in the UK, Matt.
No, I'm just outside of Dublin.
It just, it's just what?
Just outside of Dublin in Ireland.
Your accent sounds strangely American. Are you a transplant or?
No, grew up in Ireland, lived there.
Okay, now I'm hearing it. So, guys, who here has read Matt Hayward's work?
I don't think I have.
Mm-mm.
Missing out. You're missing out, boys. Those Below the Treehouse. See, the first novel I read by him was Practitioners, which was co-written with Patrick Lacey. And now I'm going to be starting The Faithful and Where Do Monsters Live? What Do Monsters Fear? In short succession. I just finished Those Below the Treehouse today.
Thanks.
Great stuff, man. I mean, you're batting, 2-2 for me right now. I mean, like 2-0. I mean, so we probably need to dispense with some. We need to preface this whole thing, and I'll sum it up. Don't worry, Matt. I'm summing it up in gentlemanly fashion. We're real here on The Quiet Place. We're not like other shows where we bury things in the backyard and act, like, what are you talking about when someone brings something up? Okay, but I assured Matt that we wouldn't go there this time. So let's just say that Matt's been through a hectic year, which is his business and his business only, and leave it at that. And let's just talk about his work. There's more than enough there to talk about. His career and just kind of bullshit, spitwad and spitball. I mean, and just have an amicable discussion instead of a hot, juicy gossip of an interview. And I think we can all do that right this time, right? Maybe next time, who knows? But in the future. But first we ought to accommodate him and make him comfortable enough that he could come back on someday, right? I mean,
I'm fine with that, man.
what do you guys? I mean, so you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never bat an eyelash at talking about certain things, but right now, this is how it needs to be, and I'm totally okay with that because I'm still riding on the high of reading Those Below the Treehouse. The earliest that story could have occurred, Matt, was the early '90s. Is that right? When was it written, though?
It was written last year. I kind of base it in the late 90s, like 97. Because I was reading so much stuff. A lot of like nostalgic stuff tends to take place in the 80s. So I always wanted to do a 90s throwback novel. That was always my
Yeah, I
favorite
grew
era.
up in the '90s, and I think that the '90s were just as awesome as the '80s. The only problem was the horrible fashion sense of the '90s. Everything
I still dress like I'm from 1992. So
with all the clashing colors and flannel and sideways hats or backwards hats. I mean,
I'm still covered in flannel daily.
Were you a ska punk, Jeremy?
huh?
Were you a ska punk?
No, you keep bringing up Scott. I do like Less Than Jake a little bit and the Boss Tones, but I don't know that it would be enough to go to a concert or anything. You really like ska, don't you, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Gregor will be along shortly, right, guys?
I have no clue. I
Hopefully.
haven't talked to him.
Where is
That's
Gregor?
it.
For God's sake, you can't take him from me.
I mean, he might have to have had to pull the sleigh, maybe.
Oh yeah.
It's goats that pull Santa's sleigh, right? That's right.
No, actually, that was elk, but you know,
Nah, I'm pretty sure it's goats.
might have been mooses for all I know. How? Why don't they call mooses? Why isn't the plural form of moose meese?
It should be.
that's
A bunch of
that's the plural form for mice that you really hate.
meese. Okay.
I hate you pieces.
So Matt, what was the first thing you ever wrote?
It would have been. I wrote a handful of short stories, kind of back to back. I'm trying to think. The first one I wrote was a thing called "That's the Price You Pay." That came out in the horror zine, I think it was, and it was my take on a vampire story. I kind of wanted to do a backwards vampire story where a vampire was being fed off every time he looked in this certain particular mirror that he found in an antique store.
Mhm.
And the antique store owner ends up building a vampire suicide booth in the back for people who look in this mirror. I just wanted to twist the vampire tale on its head. So in Brain Dead Blues, I collected all these stories and I made sure to hit up each trope. So I did the vampire story. I did the zombie. I did the werewolf. I tackled all the tropes in as unique a way I could find.
See, that's interesting because an author we had on here several weeks back, Ronald
Kelly.
So
Kelly,
Kelly,
not Mouthy, but Kelly. Yeah, he wrote a specific novel to cover each archetype of horror. You know, everything except like the creature from the Black Lagoon, I guess, or a merman. But he's been, not checking off each monster on his bucket list, just like that. But we actually got a listener here in the chat who's read Brain Dead Blues and What Do Monsters Fear? Um, so
I think it was a strange way to start out because I started by releasing a collection first before I did a novel, which is kind of doing things backwards. People tend to collect a few novels and then put out a collection.
see, that's funny because a lot of authors will give first times or uh, rookies the advice that you get some short stories under your belt before you write a novel, but most of them actually did not. Come to find out, unless we're talking about the sci-fi, the golden years of the sci-fi, like Bradbury and
Yeah.
Asimov and who else? Poe Anderson, Frederick Pohl, Jack Vance. They all started with short stories, but now I think most people just want to get straight into the full length, don't they? I mean,
Yeah, I think so. The novel seems to be where it's at.
and I think the reason is, and we talked about this last week, is because I think people's time is so valuable that they don't want to devote any time to something that isn't, fully developed. They don't want just bite-sized chunks. If they want to play as hard as they have worked hard during the week, and so playing hard, it could be reading something full length. Is to me. I mean,
Yeah, I tend to do a thing of doing like three novels in a row, I would say, and then in between them, I kind of do about 3 or 4 short stories, and then at the end of about a 3 novel cycle, I'll have enough material for a collection.
all right. Um, so you said Brain Dead Blues was the first one. What was your first novel?
Yeah, that was What the Monsters Fear.
Okay, so that one's been reprinted. Yeah, I didn't check the whole bibliography before I got on here, but I'm assuming the collaboration with Patrick Lacey happened much later, like sometime this millennium, right?
That was the third one. So that it went What the Monsters Fear, The Faithful, Practitioners. Jesus, I can't even remember what my fourth book was.
Those Below the
Oh.
Treehouse?
No, it would have been a collection, Various States of Decay. Then it was my collaboration with Bob Ford, A Penny for Your Thoughts, and then Those Below the Treehouse came out earlier this year.
Oh, it's brand new.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, practitioners, yeah, like I said, was my first exposure to you, and I still think it's your best based on what I've read so far. It's insane the amount of pages that it takes to tell that story. But I mean, you know, it's of course tells a story that takes place between our plane of existence and I guess a sort of astral or dream plane in the afterlife. Well, how would you describe that realm? I don't.
Yeah, it was an odd one, and it wasn't plotted at all. I've never been someone to plot. I'm just a pantser. Just there was no outline read. That was actually a short story. The first chapter was a short story that I kind of didn't want to stop going with, and it just kind of the length kept going and going. But that was originally a short story that an editor wanted me to change the ending of, and I just decided to keep it and flesh it out into a novel.
Mhm. Um, but I mean, so where did Patrick Lacey come into it?
We were talking at a convention, and I just threw out the idea to take that short story of mine and just kind of riff on it. And yeah, there really was no plotting for that novel. That kind of just grew very organically.
So to begin with that one, for anyone who's unfamiliar, this police officer, his entire world is shattered when his wife is murdered. To begin, right?
Yeah.
And okay, there that might be Gregor. Okay, Phoenix. Hey, Phoenix.
Hey,
Hey, we're just talking to author Matt Hayward,
cool.
and that's one of his books up on the screen there. We've got several co-hosts and regulars that pop in, Matt. So don't get nervous as the room gets fills up. So,
No worries.
but so this police officer's basically been relieved of duty for over a year, right? And he has these episodes, sometimes sleepwalking, but he'll go to the station and imagine himself interrogating the person who he believes killed his wife, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Huge hallucinations, like majorly diluted, right?
Yeah, it's kind of he ends up finding out about a guy named Paul White who has no social security number, no fixed address. The man, for all intents and purposes, does not exist, and he ends up lucid dreaming to travel to a dream version of his hometown where everything's a little off, and he's kind of navigating the real world and the dream version of his hometown to track down this man named Paul White.
Have you ever tried any of that like pseudo metaphysical stuff like lucid dreaming and astral projection? I mean, that's obviously what you based it on, right?
Yeah, nah, I haven't actually. I've never had an interest in anything kind of pseudoscientific or anything, so it was kind of funny doing the research for that one.
See, I've tried. They say you just like before you go to bed at night, you imagine yourself like walking and visualize yourself, moving your feet, and that's just one of the steps. It's an incremental thing, but you know,
It does fall under the sorcery thing.
what lucid dreaming?
No, not lucid dreaming. I thought you meant like actual astral projection.
Yeah, those are two separate things, but I mean, I kind of lump them in together, really. I mean, the idea with astral projection that, you can go into this dream plane and you have like a golden, what do you call it, umbilical cord? And if it gets severed, you're stuck in the astral plane. I mean, this is what astral projectionists actually believe. I mean,
Yeah, so that's obviously occultic, but in terms of doing the lucid dreaming, I had one time and it was freaking weird. I mean, it really was like a video game.
I think there is a portion of lucid dreaming that we all experience, and that's when we realize that we have that we realize that we're dreaming, and so sometimes we can control things after we realize we're dreaming, and other times, things just kind of happen that we didn't decide for them to happen, but they still happen to our advantage. I think that's a wild part of the subconscious. But so So you said what it was? Brain Dead Blues. What do monsters fear? Then practitioners, right?
The faithful and then practitioners. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Then the faithful. Uh, tell me about that one because I'm just like a few pages in.
Yeah, that was my attempt to just do a kind of throwback novel to the Zebra days. Like it's just a very balls to the wall horror novel. I didn't really want to get too fancy with it. It was a palate cleanser after What the Monsters Fear, which was much more intense. And I always loved the old schlocky kind of Zebra paperbacks. So I was trying to do my best to capture the feel
me,
of one of those kind of novels.
we bring up the Zebra paperbacks a lot on here, and Leisure, and the ones that always had a skeleton on the cover and were just like gorgeous, and some of them had hologram variants, But somebody in the chat, Frank from Bazong
He's a
podcast,
big weeb, by the way.
whatever, he enjoyed Penny for Your Thoughts, which I guess is a short story, right?
No, that was a novel I did with Bob Ford, and that came out last year.
What the hell, man? You're really prolific. I wish
I was trying to keep to a schedule of doing 2 releases a year.
So has it been nonstop since 97 or 98?
No, it's only been 3 years, man. 2017 was the first.
By the way, we're not terribly professional on here. This is kind of just a relaxed environment. So if you're alarmed by us missing several cues that a professional you would notice having, you won't see them here. So
You're okay.
Okay.
I gave up smoking in October, and I have one of those electronic cigarettes. So I'm hoping it's not cutting in too loudly on the mic.
I don't hear it at all.
No. Are you talking about vaping?
Yeah, one of those. It's called a My Blue thing.
My Blue thing?
Yeah, it's like it's just it's like a vape thing that you get cartridges for.
Either Ben, Zach, Phoenix, any of you guys have questions for Matt or anything you just want to say to him, at the moment?
Well, I was.
Thank you for coming on and given all the weirdness, which we won't talk about, but thank you for coming anyway.
You're welcome.
Phoenix?
I was looking at the cover for A Penny for Your Thoughts. And I like the cover. So I feel like I've missed out a little bit on some of the knowledge here because I didn't know about Brain Dead Blues, but I looked that one up, and I guess that's a collection.
Yeah, that was my first release. That was a collection.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. And then also, who is Robert Ford? Someone you worked with?
Yeah, Bob. He's done quite a few things. He done Samson Denial. He done a couple of things with John Bowden.
Okay, cool. So you describe yourself as very much in the horror tradition for writing.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of?
A Penny for Your Thoughts was a bit more kind of Southern noir with a bit of humor in it, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Are any of the books your favorite that you've written? Like, which one's the one that you recommend, or that you just really enjoyed writing?
I personally really like Those Below the Treehouse. That was my
really
one that I was kind of most proud of. That or A Penny for Your Thoughts with Bob. I love that book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I like the art for Those Below the Treehouse too. That's really cool.
Thanks.
And I guess
that was the same artist. Ben Baldwin was his name. He
Cool.
also did Gwendy's Button Box for Stephen King.
Really, that's
Is that
cool.
a short story or a novella or what? Because, I mean,
It's a novella.
it just popped up out of nowhere, and I always heard it was part of a collection. So I don't understand why it's probably being developed into a movie and an audio play now and everything. And I thought it started as a short story. It's just, I don't understand.
Yeah, I think it's a novella.
Who had the deep sigh? Who did the deep sigh?
That sounded like Ben, but I don't know.
Everything okay, Ben?
Oh, that was just me yawning. Sorry, I wasn't close to the mic, so I didn't think you could hear.
Okay.
You all have
Um,
mics. All I have is a laptop.
Yeah, I was.
And you
curious
sound just
about-
as And you sound just as good as my fucking condenser mic because life is a whore.
Yeah,
So
I'm
how
in
do-
a. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that I had I'm in my recording studio at the moment, and I have a huge array of condenser mics, and I couldn't get anything working, so I ended up just using a headset with a little like €5 microphone.
Yeah, I don't wear headsets. I wear headsets enough at work, so you won't see me wearing them ever. But you know Chad Lutsky? You ever?
Yeah, I love chat stuff.
Well, yeah,
So
he may or may not want to come in, but I'll shoot the link there in the chat for anybody who might want to come in and ask you something, or they can just there in the chat. But so
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 I was a little bit curious about your prolific nature. So you publish 2 books a year, which means you're writing at least a couple books a year.
Yeah, I think I tend to do about 3 a year.
Really? Okay. And you would describe them all as like full length?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Typically, it's 3 novels, and then at the end of the year, I would usually do about 3 or 4 short stories.
Oh wow! And so do you write for an hour? Do you have like a certain number of words that you do a day, or what's your strategy and
Yeah,
routine?
it was 1,000 words a day every day.
Okay, cool. Even on Sundays?
Yep, every day, and then I try to edit on weekends as best I can. Like Sunday evenings, I would tend to edit, but I typically write about 1,000 words every day.
So I'm always interested in writers' processes. So if that's your writing process, I'm wondering about your editing process. Like, how do you go about fine-tuning everything?
I usually leave the first draft pretty raw. I don't touch it much.
Okay.
My second go through is where I try to look for subtext, and I never liked kind of preachy novels, so I do my best to first and foremost make it entertaining, and then on my second go through, I'll think about subtext, see what different things I can kind of lift. Make sure that the subtext is consistent and that it has a second story happening. But if the reader just wants to read it just for purely entertainment, that works as well. And then my third draft would be things like mostly grammatical stuff. And after 3 drafts, I usually give it to a pre-reader, and then I'll send it off.
And you send it off to your publisher?
Yep.
That's cool. Are they an independent press, or let's see,
I've had a few.
Poltergeist?
Yeah, and then What the Monstersphere was originally on Postmortem Press. Brain Dead Blues was on Sinister Grin. Yeah, they've been kind of scattered.
That's cool. Yeah,
Aren't
that's
you,
great that you have that. I would say reach maybe, or just like publishers that like are really excited and enthusiastic about your work.
Thanks, man. We Brain Dead Blues just came out in Russian this month. Is the first time I've ever had something translated.
Nice.
That came out in stores in Russian, which was really cool.
And one thing I was wondering is often my process for writing, like I'm very much a perfectionist, and I can usually like go through my writing and like think about like how I can improve it. But I noticed that like I don't do enough of like, I feel, at least because of my perfectionist tendencies, of writing to where you allow the rawness and kind of the messiness. Do you have any ideas about that? Like, how do you manage to like keep your style very, very open in that way?
I try not to overthink it. I'm typically, when I've done my third draft, I try just to let it go. I won't usually, like, I think on in What the Monstersphere, I might have went about 5 or 6 drafts, but then at a certain point, I feel like you might start losing sight of what the original concept was, and you can start messing things up rather than fixing them. So I try to stick to 3 drafts and just let it go.
Cool. I wasn't sure if anyone else had questions, but I'm curious about your process. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So yeah, those below the treehouse is fresh in my mind, but I like how they ended up getting stuck in the treehouse with the bully, and ended up becoming amicable, like partners, friends.
Yeah. It was I did an interview for a Russian magazine last week, and the guy who interviewed me said the themes of how did he put it? He said themes of nostalgic sadness and friendship tend to repeat in your work, and I hadn't thought about it, and then I realized that was the two central themes of Those Below the Treehouse. It's
Chad's
funny
in
when,
the house.
hey Chad,
Hey, buddy. I just wanted to come in and say hi to Matt. That's all.
how have you been, man?
I've been all right, man. I can't stay long. I have a thing at 8, another podcast interview thing.
You have a prior engagement? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I was supposed to do a podcast at 8.
Okay. So how long? Yeah, how long have you guys known each other?
Couple of years, I would say.
Yeah, a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, how do you think it would fare if you two collaborated?
We talked about it before.
Yeah. Like, what do you think you two could learn from each other?
I don't know. I know that Penny for Your Thoughts is in my top books that I read this year.
I would say that Chad, you bring a lot of emotion to the proceedings, and not in a negative way. And Matt brings a lot of good, strong pacing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matt's pacing is off the charts. So in that respect, you two would probably do well together, telling a story. But so I mean, is it pretty much second nature to you now, Matt?
No, not at all.
I mean, so you're a tortured soul then? You're a tortured artist?
No, I just I think every book is different. You're going to learn different things each time.
Well, what did you learn from The Faithful?
That books that I don't like, other people like. I actually did not like The Faithful when I first wrote it.
And who is actually the monster in The Faithful? Is it organized religion, or is it a religious leader in the community, or a little column A and B both? Or
It was
a god?
no, it was I kind of adapted it from an Egyptian god named Apep. And
Okay,
it was just
Egyptian gods. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a huge pantheon there. So try to be a little more specific. Is that the one with a hippo for a head?
No, that was a giant snake.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, what is the religion that the enemy is masquerading as in The Faithful? Because again, I'm only a few pages in right now.
Yeah, it's a small town cult that I liked. I always liked the idea of backwoods kind of 50-member thing in the middle of nowhere. It was kind of a homage to Ed Lee a little bit. Do you ever read any Ed Lee stuff?
Oh hell yeah, yeah! Didn't Edward Lee write the forward for this?
He wrote a forward for What the Monsters Fear.
Okay, yeah. Where is he these days? I don't. He's almost like as reclusive as Bentley Little.
I
Isn't
mean,
he?
Yeah.
well, no, he was at the online SplatterCon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Where you read your flash fiction piece for the gross contest. Okay.
Yeah, he was there to accept an award, and his phone overheated.
Really?
Yeah, he's kind of a boomer when it comes to technology.
So Apep, what is Apep in Egyptian mythology?
I actually don't really know what he is in the Egyptian mythology. I kind of just like the name, the look, the aesthetic, so I adapted it into my own thing. I just kind of used it as necessary.
Well, let's take a look at this fella. Apep. Yes, I know this is very stimulating radio. There's a representation of him.
Yeah.
There he is in hieroglyphics, I guess. But I mean, there's a giant snake in almost any culture you can point to, right? Right.
Possibly.
I mean, that's a good one there.
Yeah.
Don't you think that there are some good things to come out of religion, though? You know.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a shot at religion at all.
Do you?
I'm just in the third draft of a novel called Bones of Birds, which was set during the Magdalen laundries in Ireland.
Mhm.
The Magdalen laundries were essentially they were work camp for women who, if you didn't have a husband or something, oftentimes the church would put these women into a place called the Magdalen laundries, and it was you just worked in the laundries day and night, very little food. It was a horrible part of Irish history. The last one was actually only closed in 1994, I think.
Isn't all of Irish history horrible though?
Yeah, very true. But I liked that an awful lot, and not that I liked it. I liked the setting for a horror novel. I thought was perfect, and in doing the research for it, I kind of had a second notion of I don't want people to think that this is a bash at religion. I have nothing wrong with people having faith. It was more a being angry at the history and the church as an institution rather than people's individual faiths is a different matter. And I think I would have to write a very specific foreword to clear that before I would ever release it.
It probably plays into the ongoing the centuries worth of hostility between England and Ireland as well, right? They were the ones forcing religion on the Irish, a very specific kind of religion, right?
Well, Ireland and England these days are fine.
Are they really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. But they still they're not sovereign in the same way that England is, are they? Isn't that an ongoing point of contention? I don't know. I'm just
No, Ireland is a separate country. It's North Ireland that's
Northern
kind
Ireland
of disputed.
okay. Why is that, dude?
Huh?
Why is that?
That's something.
But
that
Northern Ireland
potatoes
is part
do.
of the UK, and then you've got a lot of people who are loyalists. And it's a messy situation.
Clearly. What were you going to say, Zach?
Has something to do with potatoes.
Yeah. Okay. So, and have you heard of the Sawney Bean legend? Now that's Irish, right?
Yeah. I can't recall it too well. I do know the name.
There's a family of cannibals, allegedly, that were, several hundred years ago. There was a family clan, of cannibals that were called, I don't know, the Sawney Beans, or there was a figure named Sawney Bean, and they were the many disappearances of cattle and children and basically anyone else in certain area was often attributed to this legendary clan. I don't know.
Right.
Could just be a folk tale.
I thought that was American.
Yeah, there's some really cool mythology over here. Like the banshee is something I've always wanted to tackle.
Yeah,
I think Jack Ketchum kind of used the Sawney Bean legend as an inspiration for Off Season.
No, but we don't even have to go to the Sawney Bean. The Fomori, you could knock
the
it all
Fomorians.
that
Yeah,
out of the park.
that was really Lovecraftian, actually.
Wait, what now?
The Fomorians. There's some really Lovecraftian creatures in Irish mythology.
Yeah, and the Fomori were led by a character named Balor, right? And what was the deal? He fell in love with a human woman.
I can't remember the story too well, but there's if you ever look up, Tir na Nog is another one that's just endlessly interesting. There's an island off the coast of Ireland where nobody knows exactly where it is, but it's a place where infinite youth is possible. And there's some really crazy stories.
Frank says, "I have kissed the piss-soaked Blarney Stone."
Yeah, that's a thing. Don't ever kiss the Blarney Stone. People piss on it.
Now, why is this?
No, that was
Locals
just my
find it funny,
penis.
I think.
It what?
I think locals find it funny, so they piss on it.
No, wait a minute. So it's slang for penis, right?
No, that was just my joke.
Okay.
people in Ireland be like, all right, these fucking Americans fucking kissing the shit out, piss all over it.
Pretty much.
By the way, Matt, I said that we're pretty, genuine. We're real around here, and so I am going to bring up one thing. You sound very nervous, or you're not. I hope you're not. I mean,
That's just me generally lately. Anxiety's through the roof. I'm going to a therapist, and there's just a lot of stuff going on.
I hope I'm not making it worse.
No, God, no.
I did want to talk to you. What is the significance of this thing that grows out of the infected's jaws in those below the treehouse? I kind of picture like a curving, like claw almost, just jutting out of their gums, or is it literally just the last tooth that doesn't rot, or is it?
It was. Have you ever heard of cordyceps?
Yeah, that's what the whole thing is based on. Tell everybody what a cordyceps does in the insect world.
Yeah, the cordyceps is amazing. It's a parasite that, when it takes over an ant, it will kind of reprogram their brain, turn them into a zombie. It grows out the top of their forehead like this giant spike, and makes the ant walk to the highest point above the colony, and then it will explode, and all its spores will rain down on the rest of the of the colony and make them do the same. And it was just a fascinating parasite. And when I put it in humans, I thought that how it grows out of the heads of the ants, I thought it would be just an interesting take. That
It's
it grows
like
out of the
gnarled, like tree, like antler thing that grows out of their heads, right?
Yeah, so I thought if it grew out of the gum and kind of looked like a single gnarled tooth, it would just be an interesting visual.
Yeah. There were a few different directions that I could see that book going in, like it felt like it could break off on this one tangent or this one other tangent at any time. So you left a lot of possibilities right up till the end. One issue I did have with that book, and it's pretty small really, is that I felt that a certain character was disposed of too easily after everything they had been through. And I'm not giving anything away because I didn't say who it was or go into further details, Zach. So if you end up reading this, you can't say I spoiled it for you.
No, yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Zach, are you there?
Oh wait, what were you talking to me?
No, Zach, I wasn't.
I was tapping on something on Twitter.
Right, it's okay. I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
In fact, I will continue not to talk to you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so
You're a weeb, a passive aggressive weeb.
thank
Stop shitposting while we have a guest.
So, well, I guess maybe you have some questions, Matt, since it's been about, has it already been 40 minutes?
Yeah.
It's already been 40 minutes. How's that possible? Okay, maybe you have some questions. Go ahead, Matt. What are you thinking right now? Because I swear you do sound nervous, and I don't want to feel like I'm the cause of it.
Leave him alone.
No, it's not. It's not nervousness. It's just in general the anxiety is just something that I'm dealing with lately, and I don't have any Xanax or anything around the house today. So
Okay,
it's just something I'm just going through.
I would be miserable too. Yeah, if I couldn't get to something like that. Yeah. So, you were going to publish a book in the last year or so that unfortunately did not come to publication, right?
Lady Luck. There's two of them. There's Lady Luck with Bob, which will still see the light of day next year sometime, I'm guessing. And then Calamity, which is a Western I wrote. That's going to be done with two other Western novellas, one by Bob Ford and one by Lucy Taylor. And we're going to try to do a series called Welcome to the West, which is a throwback to my anthology that I edited called Welcome to the Show.
Thank you for reminding me about Westerns, because that is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that, because I have something to say about that in a little bit. But So, yeah, a lot of horror authors are turning to Western territory right now because not there was one novel that started it all. Chad, and you name dropped it a week or two ago. What was it?
I think that John Bowden's Walk the Darkness Down. I don't know that it started it, but it was well before all of these ones that
Yeah,
are getting attention.
That was a couple of years ago, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's really really good.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've read Matt's Calamity that he's talking about, and that's really good too.
Yeah, that I'm hoping to get them the three of these novellas, Bob's one, my one, and Lucy Taylor's one, kind of put out at the same time. It's essentially I just wanted to write a Jack Ketchum homage set in the Old West. So it's kind of what if Jack Ketchum's Red took place in the Old West? To do, and it's to do with a guy's horse who's named Calamity.
Oh no, I don't like the sound of this.
Yeah, it's dark.
It is. It's sad.
I'm a huge animal lover, so I kind of wanted to push it a bit for myself.
There's actually I heard there was a website called didthedogdie.com where they're like basically trigger warnings, throughout all creative media, movies, television shows, books that tell any time a dog dies, they catalog it on that site for people who may not want to see that. That's the extent of some people's love for animals, and under the certain circumstances, I would be the same way. So
yeah, I'm a huge animal lover, so I knew when that scene was coming up, I knew I had to write it. Like I can't avoid it. It's important to give the main character's anger justification and for the reader to really be in on it, And when I did the scene, I decided not to stop, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And
oh no.
There's one point where he's essentially left with his horse's corpse, and he's told, get that thing gone because the smell's going to rile up the town. So he has to try to figure out a way to dispose of it, and all this time he's just slowly cracking. And
he'd have to drag it by stagecoach, right?
It's pretty messy. I won't ruin anything, but the revenge is satisfying, I hope.
Good. When is this supposed to be released now?
Hopefully around March or April.
And Lady Luck before or after that?
No, Lady Luck, I'd say would be after that, maybe next summer.
Okay, is she the eponymous character the one that is the monster, or
yes, yeah.
Okay, so there's a catch to someone's extremely fortunate luck. Then
it's she'll, if you beat her in a card game, she'll make a wish come true. But then they start realizing across the town that every time she's made something come true, it's coming from somewhere else. So it's taking from someone else, and the town's balance starts getting very upset. I won't ruin it too much. It was a really fun one, and it keeps very much in line with the first, with A Penny for Your Thoughts. We're kind of expanding that little universe we created.
What's the saddest animal death scene that you can think of?
Oh, probably Red, Jack Ketchum.
Would you agree with that, Zach?
The saddest animal novel.
Red, Jack Ketchum. Are your
Red.
preoccupied, Zach? Am I bothering you?
No, you're not.
Am I disturbing you?
What about Red? I read it last year.
I wouldn't want to disturb you, Mr. Magaha, while we're putting on a show here.
Well, it's not stopping you, but I mean,
it's not stopping. Oh, okay. You want me to
Red was the depressing novel.
It was. I think one of the saddest things I ever read actually was Lutsky's A Foster Home of Flies.
Really? Boy, that gets a lot of love.
It's brilliant.
I always thought that Artax would be a good interrogation tactic. The scene of Artax sinking in the swamps of sorrow in the Neverending Story. You could extract any information out of someone if you just show them that scene on an infinite loop for like 48 hours. I mean, not really, but come on, man. He's trying to pull him out and he won't go. Does anyone know what I'm talking about anymore?
No
I
idea.
have no idea.
Nobody's
No.
seen the never-ending story.
We've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it. It's just you've completely lost the plot
Of what?
of this.
No, I mean we talked
See?
about it.
See, he has no idea where he is right now.
Well,
All he's doing is sitting there looking at me. Look at him looking at me.
I'm not looking at you.
He's looking at me. Look at him looking at me. He's looking at me.
I'm not looking at you. But no, Artax sinking in the swamps of sorrow in the never-ending story, guys. Come on. Anyway, we were talking about sad animal death scenes because, see, if Gregor were here, this would probably be going better. Anyway, so obviously there have been some stutter steps. Matt, how have you been? How else have you been keeping busy this year?
Plenty of walks. To be honest, it's
Who'd we just
personal
lose,
life
Chad?
is something
Chad.
I'll happily
Chad.
go into. Maybe on the next one. It's
Chad
yeah.
couldn't take our unprofessionalism anymore. Sorry, Chad.
He's cutting in and out. I think.
Okay, good. He's back. Anyway, Chad, you're also a podcaster. Help me out here, man. Help me make him feel more welcome.
I'm
Oh,
God,
man.
man. Honestly,
That's why I showed in here. I wasn't gonna come in here, and then I heard Matt's voice. I didn't even know that was him. I heard you talk. I tuned in. I heard you talking about A Penny for Your Thoughts, and I was like, man, it's one of the best books I've read this year. And then I heard Matt's voice, and I was like, it's freaking Hayward, man.
And what's that about again?
A Penny for Your Thoughts is about a ex-drug addict who is on a hiking trail and he discovers a jar of pennies, and each one has a little girl's wish taped to it, and they're little benign things. For example, one has I wish I had a bike, and next to it is an old Lincoln wheat penny. So he goes home and he finds a bike in his garage.
And his what?
And then he slowly
garage.
starts to.
It's
He slow-
Irish slang
he slow-
for garage.
Sorry. He slowly starts to realize that any of the wishes he reads are coming true. And he, with his addictive nature, decides to not open them, and instead his father ends up opening one, and it just starts unraveling, getting messier and messier.
Okay. There seems to be some. There seems to be unfinished business in the world of Those Below the Treehouse. Now, I'm one of those people who thinks zombies are kind of burnt out, but you have just a fresh enough twist to where, I don't know, maybe there's something to revisit there. What do you think?
Yeah, I just always loved the zombie genre. I always wanted to write a zombie novel. I do agree it's kind of oversaturated. I just always wanted to try my hand at it. So, and I always wanted to do a '90s nostalgia book. So that was another draw for it.
Yeah, there were people in there. You know, I wanted to think that at least somebody else, was not going to make that cordyceps zombie-ish turn, on the ground below. But I mean, God, how long can you spend cooped up in a treehouse?
Yeah, that was the challenge of that one, keeping it the tension and
imagine the body odor. I mean, after several days and jeez, man.
The other thing was then I realized with like What the Monsters Fear, I had people in a Snowden cabin, a Snowden farmhouse, and I think I kind of tend to put opposing characters in places they can't get out of together.
So come on, guys. Somebody else has got to have a question.
I think I gotta take off soon enough. What time is it now? 10 to 1 in the morning here.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm catching you really late where you are, right? So,
Oh, it's fine.
well,
Yeah, I gotta run too. I gotta do my other podcast. But Matt, it was nice. It was nice talking to you, and I hope you have
You
a
too,
good
man.
night.
thanks, Chad.
Thanks so much, Chad.
Yeah.
So Matt, yeah, I think it was a little awkward this time, but hopefully, as you get to know us a little better, maybe it will be less next time. But is there something that
Yeah, I gotta run too. I gotta do my.
is there something that I did not cover to your liking that you would like to bring up now?
No, I'm good, man. Honestly,
Okay.
it was fun to talk. I haven't spoken to people in nearly half a year.
Right. That long, huh? Because how's COVID out your way?
Not great. Can't leave like 5 kilometers beyond the house for quite a while. Then they opened it up. Still can't cross county lines, so
That's fucking
kind of
ridiculous.
isolated.
That's fucking
Yeah, and then
ridiculous.
the financial situation this year has just been very stressful. Yeah, hopefully shit will improve.
Well, maybe you can start a GoFundMe or something.
Oh God, no! I'll get through it.
That's good. That's a good attitude to have, sir. Well, thank you, Matt. And yeah, again, I'll come knocking again soon, and I'll hope to have you back. And eventually we get, we get more accustomed to each other.
Yeah, perfect. I'll happily come back.
Okay. In the meantime, keep up the good work. Talent cannot be conquered. So let that be your shield against everyone. And I can't speak for everyone else, but Zach and I will be praying for you. Okay. So
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really hope you enjoy the rest of those. The Faithful. If you're reading that one, I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on it when you can.
Yeah, and I've got to buy your books. I'll do that soon.
Great, cool.
all right.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. Don't be a stranger. Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
Cool. Enjoy your night.
All right, thanks for coming.
All right.
No, Frank,
I'll
you
talk to you
can't
soon.
leave us too. Yeah, see you, man. Frank, you can't go too. We're just getting started, man. Come on. Last week we had like 15 people on, and we went for 7 hours. What is wrong with us? Come on, wake up. that did not go as I thought it would, but
Well, I would have asked a few more questions, but it sounded like he had to go.